Welcome to episode 14. I will keep it brief. Check out our website, bhbanter.com. Hit us up on social media under Bounty Hunter Banter or bhbanter if you're on Twitter. Leave us a 5-star review and comment on iTunes. And tell everyone how awesome we are on Facebook. In fact, tell us too. Chris is manning his PC waiting for you to reach out to feedback@bhbanter.com to tell him exactly what you think of him. Make sure you do email him. He's in his fishnet stockings and he loves to reply in a husky voice. Lucky for us, you can't hear emails. Anyway, I just got back from my trip of debauchery, so I'm going to leave you to the episode so I can get back to recovering. I've got this weird rash I've got to sort out too. The nice lady in the parlour said it was nothing to worry about, but it looks like it's growing eyes and a mouth, so maybe I should get it checked out. Nah, she'll be right.
Welcome back to Bounty Hunter Banter for your regular dose of beer and pop culture. I'm here with Pete.
Howdy.
I'm Dan, so we're your two regulars, and tonight we've got a very special guest, one of our good friends and friend of the show, James.
Special is definitely an underrated word, but yeah.
We'll go with that to start with. Unfortunately, Chris is fairly sick and busy at the moment.
Well, that's what he claimed, but I heard another rumour that he had a bit of an accident with a waxing pot, but anyway. Something about not being able to walk.
The back sack and crack didn't go to plan this time around. We've all had a little bit of a dose of the flu, and unfortunately, Chris's dose of the flu overlaps with the recording of this episode, so he's had to sit out this one. But we've got James in to fill in. He's just as crude as Chris can be, so we'll see what happens from here on out.
I mean, you're setting the bar pretty low.
Yeah, fair enough. We have 4 beers to try as per usual. We have Mikkeller from Denmark. We have a Beer Celebrations Copenhagen. It's a barrel-aged sour at 7.7%. We've got Last Rites from Tasmania. Dead Man's Revenge Black IPA 6.5%. 3 Ravens Tripel from Vic 9%. And Edge Brewing Project from Vic at 10%, and it is a Imperial Stout, that one.
Lovely.
Oh, nice.
And
it'll be my first black IPA too.
Oh, okay, cool. These were hand-picked by the man himself, Wen, at Quakers, our friends down there at Quaker Cellars. Unpaid plug, but he does keep a fantastic selection of beers and keeps us going back with him and his boys always giving us great recommendations, as we always say on the show.
We'll get into it a little bit later, but I'm going to make some requests of Wen throughout this episode too.
Well, actually, that's where I was going to go straight on to. You've just come back from Vegas, so why don't you give us a bit of a breakdown of your beer tour around Vegas with those multiple beer menu pictures you kept sending us.
I found it really surprising and impressive, and I was jealous as fuck that everywhere you went, and we were in Vegas, right? So it's not a real town. It doesn't really, none of it's real. It's just excessive to the extreme. It sets a new bar for excessive. But every place you went had a craft beer menu, and there would have been 10 craft beers on tap or in packaged product everywhere you went. Didn't matter how small the bar was. And in fact, I didn't realize until the very end of our 11-day trip that the small bar attached to the hotel reception, just at the base of the fucking hotel we were staying in, had a Cicerone certified...
you sent that to me, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone that worked there was Cicerone certified server. And
so James is looking very blankly.
I'm looking confused now.
Cicerone it's only just sort of made its way to Australia, the classes are being done by the Institute of Beer. So if anybody's keen on becoming a certified Cicerone, that's who you got to contact. It's basically, well, it's not basically, it is what a sommelier is to wine. A certified Cicerone is to beer.
And you're talking at least 12 months of specific study around passing the cert after you are already a beer nerd. So it's a pretty serious, pretty hardcore fucking cert. So this bar is stocked by a Cicerone, and everyone that worked for them was Cicerone certified server. So they do another course beyond understanding beer and everything that goes into beer, which is the Cicerone course. The Cicerone server is taught how to serve beer properly. So what glasses to use, how to respect the beer, the perfect drinking temperature, how to talk about beer. You know, you have all these craft brewers putting so much time and effort and love and sweat and tears into making amazing beer. And then you go to a dirty pub that serves the beer in a fucking dirty glass and the beer's the wrong temperature. it's disrespectful to the craft brewers as far as I'm concerned. Anyway.
I was at a craft beer bar only can't have been last week because I was really sick. There must have been the week before, and I got served in a dirty glass. It had bubbles all up the side of the glass, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's really nice, and I don't want to be a dick, and he knows who I am.
You should have been a dick.
You know what? I'm just going to drink it.
No, it's So anyway, so everywhere I went, we were drinking from 10 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the morning. So although we hit the G&Ts at the blackjack tables, so just quickly, the two mainstay beers that we were drinking were Sam Adams Boston Lager and Goose Island IPA. So pretty much everywhere we went had those two beers. The pools that we were sunbaking in had those two beers. So that was kind of our basic beer.
So Sam Adams is from Boston, and obviously Boston Lager, and Goose Island is from Chicago.
Yep. And I'm not going to go through every beer I tried because there would be several hundred. But ones that stood out for me, Brooklyn Brown Ale was amazing.
Brooklyn Brown, yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing brown ale. I'm not going to say it's so easy to drink. It was very
Somebody gave you shit about
yeah,
that.
I know. Tenaya Creek Hauling Oats, which was an oatmeal stout. That was amazing. So I actually noticed I was tending to go for dark beers, which is very unusual for me.
Yeah, definitely.
But porters, oatmeal stouts, Imperial
Facebook.
stouts, yeah. I had a mango IPA from Anchor Brewing and a grapefruit IPA from someone I don't remember who the brewer was, but didn't like it.
Didn't like it?
No.
What didn't like about it?
Too much grapefruit.
Grapefruit juice or peel or was it juicy like that?
No.
Not like that.
No, it was like too much
Stockade.
pith.
Yeah, okay. Too much pith bitterness.
And so I, the first couple of mouthfuls were great, and then after that it just got way too bitter and sharp. You got that real citrus twang, and it would just overpower the flavour of the beer.
Yeah, okay. Speaking of citrus twangs, we have in front of us Mikkeller from Denmark. The Mikkeller Beer Celebration. They're from Copenhagen, and it's Mikkeller Beer Celebrations, formerly known as CBC, is the sixth beer celebrations we've held since 2012. The festival is one of the most recognised beer festivals in the world. It sounds a little bit like their Gabs. They get the brewers to come with unique beers. They pour them from there. Once the kegs are done, they're done. There's no more doing it.
Yep.
This is a barrel-aged sour.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I've got it. Yeah.
You've got it already.
I'm drinking. I'm going.
Yeah.
Oh, you've already tried it. This is zingy as fuck.
Yeah.
It's like sucking on a wedge of lemon.
Yeah, it takes me back to the old Warheads as a child.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's got that real lemon zing to it. It's got a little bit of woody oak on the nose.
You can taste the barrel.
Yeah, you can taste the barrel. I can't. I've only had one sip. I can't get past that lemony zing yet. But
So yeah, I'll just quickly finish the standout. Sam Smith's Nut Brown Ale was probably my favorite of the whole trip. That was amazing. Followed pretty closely by Moody Tongue's caramelized chocolate churro Baltic Porter.
Okay,
which is a mouthful. Yeah. I tried everything from Chicago Brewing. So we went into one of the casinos in Old Town and asked for a tasting paddle. And it was a tasting Lazy Susan with 9 mini steins in it.
Nice.
We started off sober. We ended up not sober.
Yeah. Well, those beer menus you were sending me saying I'm working my way through it were fucking long.
Yeah,
really
there were
long.
some big beers in there. Last one I'll mention is Joseph James Hefeweizen, which is an interesting Weiss beer. It was probably the palest beer I've ever tried. It almost looked like water, and very light on the palate, very easy. I'm not going to say it. Dan's still a bit sick, so every time I make him laugh, he fucking goes into a coughing fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was great. In terms of beer, I spent the whole 11 days thinking, Dan, Chris, and I need to do a fucking a Vegas tour just for the beers, and that'll be the excuse we tell our wives.
Tax deductible.
That's right.
Tax deductible. I don't know whether the cirrhosis of the liver is tax deductible after you get back from something like that.
I've been on detox all week. In fact, this is the first drop I've touched since I got back. So I've been back a week now.
Oh, well, you started on an 8-bit stockade, so
yeah, that's it.
Good start. That Mikkeller, I like that. That zingy lemony gets a little. Well, you've hoed into your sample there too, James. There is more in there too if you want to get into it. I just didn't know what your thoughts were on sour beers, so I didn't pour you with too big a one.
I'm a fan of sours. The lemon put me off at first. It was a bit like what you said. You sort of had to get past that lemon, and then you can start to enjoy it.
It's like when you do suck on a lemon wedge, it really hits you to start with, but when you do it a couple more times in the same sort of sitting, you get used to that sort of sour lemoniness, and I feel that the same there. It's nice. I think it's really good. I think it's a really nice barrel-aged sour. I mean, the barrel doesn't overpower it for what could potentially come in straight over the top.
You're right. It just adds a bit of complexity to it, which I'm enjoying. This might sound a bit gross, but I still think it's relevant. If you happen to burp after drinking some, you get pure lemon. It's like chewing on a piece of lemon in your Coke.
Yeah. Okay.
Just thanks for sharing.
So going from your Vegas trip onto our first pop culture topic, I've been waiting for James to get onto the show so we can talk about this because he's the only one that I know that has any
class, style, finesse.
Yeah, go with that. Any interest in it, or you guys will probably have interest in it once you hear about it. But American Gods. We both
Neil
saw
Gaiman.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman's book. We both saw that the TV show was coming out. We both said we're going to read this before we watch the show.
And that was actually before we even decided to talk to each other.
Exactly, yeah. You messaged me or I messaged you saying, have you seen it? Because we're both Terry Pratchett fans. You got me on the Discworld.
Yep.
Neil Gaiman is along that same line. They've written a book together, which they're actually making into, I don't know whether it's a mini-series or a series itself, but they're making Bad Omens into a series. As well. Okay. Yep. So that got announced last week, as well as something else. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but there was Bad Omens and a Discworld one and something else.
Yep. I think I saw that come up on my Facebook feed and what have you.
Yeah. So they're doing that. So American Gods, huge book. I know we both commented that we were a little bit daunted by the how big the book was. It's 600
many
plus pages.
Small text.
But I pumped through it, like absolutely hammered through it. It's a really, really easy book to read. Yeah. So to set the premise for Pete, it's set in America. Yep. Of all places, being called
Does
American
it have gods in it?
It does have gods in it. So
wow.
Intuitive.
It's aptly named.
This isn't, I'm not going to go into too many spoilers. This is talked about very, very early in the book, and you get the drift of it quite quickly, that when people traveled from the old world to the new world, being America, they brought their cultures and they brought their gods and their fairy tales with them.
Yep.
And they all these gods have existed within American culture since these people have come over. So you've got people from Norse mythology when the Scandinavians came over. You've got people from you've got leprechauns from Ireland.
To be sure.
You've got African gods that have come over. You've got Eastern European gods that have come over, and they all exist within the American culture. And it's basically a story of the old gods coming to terms with the new gods. So the new gods would be, you've got Technological Boy, who is basically the internet, internet and Wi-Fi.
Media.
You've got Media, who is television and media.
I think they even go freeways and highways.
Yes, freeways and highways. We've got to avoid
the freeways and highways because we don't know what side they're on.
That's exactly it. And then you've got the Black Ops guys.
The spooks. They refer to them as.
Yep, the spooks. And they're separated in, and they talk about a coming war between the old gods and the new gods.
Right.
Okay. So I loved it. I know, our conversations.
I mean, I actually Googled this before I came over here. I mean, I think it won 4 awards. It won the Hugo, the Nebula, the Locust, and the Bram Stoker.
I rate anything that wins a Nebula award. So I've read 17 or 18 novels that have won Nebula awards over the years.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good place to go if you want to pick up a sci-fi and know it's a good book.
And
a couple of stinkers, mind you.
I do the same thing with the Bram Stoker award, actually.
Yeah,
things that win the Bram Stoker award.
I was actually surprised it actually won the Bram Stoker.
Yeah, I mean, it's got some of those darker points in it, but I definitely wouldn't class it as a horror novel.
Definitely no It or anything like that. But it's I actually had to cross-reference that because I'm thinking, surely this is just a mistake. But no, it actually won it.
Yeah, Yeah,
2001, I think it was, if memory serves.
It does have some darker, but it's very it's hard to. I would find it very hard to define. It's fantasy, but not what anybody would class as traditional fantasy. It's set in the modern world with these old gods, new gods, and how they're interacting. It does have different worlds that come in there, like the Fey world and everything like that that's spoken about. And so yeah, there is a lot of different elements. So it's kind of hard to define as a genre. For
I know. Well, he rewrote the book originally. The original book that came out. I think we were talking about this.
Yeah, he's got
it was actually cut down. So if you buy a more recent book, he's actually rewritten it to how he would prefer it to be read.
So it was when it first came out, it was abridged, and
it was
now unabridged.
Ran through the publishers,
right?
And they.
So we've got a director's cut book, is what you're saying.
Basically.
Okay, cool.
From the way he describes it in the prologue, it sounded like an enormous story.
Yeah.
Like how he talks about how big this story was. So
yeah. And and it was actually through the prologue that he was talking about how he sort of got these awards and people were saying, they didn't know what category to even put it into. It was just, it sort of bridged it all, crime, all that sort of main genres.
Yeah, because it follows the main character Shadow, Shadow Moon, and he is
not Sailor Moon.
Thankfully not Sailor Moon.
Sorry,
he's brought into the employment of the mysterious Mr. Wednesday. You obviously find out later in the book who Mr. Wednesday is. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. No. Going into the TV show, him and Mr. Wednesday, they are on a bit of a road trip to get the old gods onto Wednesday's side.
Recruitment drive.
I quickly sent you a message. You've watched all of season 1.
Yeah, I've watched all of season 1.
How much does season 1 spoil the overall premise of the rest of the book? Because it stops with them talking to Easter.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So without trying to spoil it for anyone else, because it is still fairly new.
Yes, and I haven't seen it. And I mean,
I know.
It's stupid because I've read the book. I know what's going to happen, but I don't want you to spoil the TV series for me because I know you mentioned that they took a few little liberties with it, and
it's kind of like saying George R. Martin stopped watching Game of Thrones. The fucker still hasn't finished writing the last book, or maybe there's 2 books. I haven't read the books, but he doesn't even watch the show anymore because the show's just gone. We can't wait for you to fucking write a book every 5 years, dude. We've got a TV series to run.
But in saying that, they diverted a lot longer before the...
Yeah, well, there were always diversions, but they're so far... Like, there's characters dead in Game of Thrones, the TV series, that are still very much alive.
And kicking in the books.
In the books,
okay. You've read them all too, haven't you, James?
Yeah.
Except the last one. Is there one more to go?
Game of Thrones.
2 books.
2 books.
2 books are left. Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to live long enough to fucking. Have you seen the dude?
Somebody will write him for him.
Yeah, another Brandon Sanderson from Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time. Yeah.
Sorry,
but same thing happened with Frank Herbert. His son took over, and then a few other people ended up writing the June. Yeah, Frank Herbert wrote June, so he wrote June, Children of June. And
that had massive sort of spin-offs and whole worlds being built off that.
So his son took over at some stage, but then I think all the House books, somebody else wrote House Harkonnen, House Atreides, and all the other houses that are there, and it's ballooned out, and there's like dozens of June books, not just in the main June storyline, but in the side stories as well. So somebody will finish it. I mean, it's too much money. The publishers are not going to give up on.
Well, I think to be honest, I mean, so. Robert, I actually had to look it up. It's been that long since I've read Wheel of Time. So Robert Jordan, got so long-winded in his books. I think he survived to 8 or 9 books in the series, and there's
12 or 13, isn't there?
13,
in the whole lot?
Yeah, and they're huge.
I think it was only the last 4 or 5 that were written by his son. Off
3.
Notes.
No,
3.
It wasn't his son. It was they brought in Brandon Sanderson. I got it right before. So Brandon came in and wrote the books based on the notes that Robert Jordan had written. And his style was specifically selected. So he had started writing. He was coming up in the ranks as a fantasy writer. And the estate chose him out of a group of writers who'd said, yes, I'm prepared to take on the mantle.
Good way to do it. Yeah.
And I actually thought his style of prose was a lot better.
Yeah.
There were whole books in the Wheel of Time series that you could fucking have skipped. It's just a book where 4 different characters that start off the series together, traveling as an adventure party, are all doing their own thing, and they basically do fucking nothing for 2 novels.
Yeah.
It's just 1,000 pages of filler. So anyway,
And it's not.
we're way off topic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, but
Japanese anime.
back to
Yeah.
back to the TV series. Sorry, I won't interrupt this time.
No. Yeah, I mean, I liked it.
The end.
Easy to drink.
It's
Fuck you,
you know
Dan.
what? I went in with high hopes. I mean, when you're given literary gold, right?
Yep.
How hard is it to fuck that shit up?
Yeah. Well, apparently not that hard.
Apparently not that
So
hard.
the series was shit. The TV series was shit.
Okay, anyone who's read the Game of Thrones novel will probably be able to relate to this. So you read the novel, you're like, great, that's fantastic. Adapt it. I want to see that pop on the screen.
Yeah.
And then you get these people who want to do creative license.
Right. Okay.
You know,
So it's kind of like the Shannara Chronicles.
yeah.
Because Shannara is actually, I mean, I must admit, I haven't read the first book. I'm about 80% of the way through.
I fucking made it about 30 seconds into that.
Into the novel or the TV
The
series?
TV series.
The TV
Oh.
series is like a teen fucking.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's, I made it 30 seconds in. I'm going, nah, fuck this shit.
Yeah. It's hard not to use an expletive that is often it was bad.
Yeah.
Really fucking
Yeah,
bad.
it was.
Yeah.
It was bad. Yeah.
But I mean, look, it was good. I mean, it's who was it? Produced by Stars, so the same guys who did Black Sails.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, so I was kind of going in expecting it to be Black
Bloodthirsty.
Sails-ish. Yeah.
So lots of gore, lots of sexy
Yeah,
titties.
they
all the things we love in
all
TV.
in all, it was good. And this is probably more of a hang up on my side. It's a case of you get this picture, and then they give you that picture.
With the novel, you create your own mental image of what's going
Yeah.
on, but then the TV studio is telling you this is
And
how
So,
it is.
having never read the book, would it be better if I don't read the book and just watch the TV series? Because I won't have that expectation.
definitely,
and then go read the book.
I definitely think it was good.
Okay.
I think they obviously modernized some parts, you know,
Yep.
to make it relevant. They made Techno Boy thin rather than fat, you know, like small things like that.
Yep.
Brought it into
Well-
a bit of relevancy.
Yeah, well, even in
How is being fat not relevant? Fuck you, James.
He's the embodiment of the internet. So
Right,
back when the book
right.
was written, it was the fat guys in the basement.
Right,
That's-
You
right.
know, now it's all the
Society's
the
different now.
.comers.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
that we're all healthy. You know, the hipsters.
yeah,
Not that there's
Ironically,
anything wrong with
Kim.com's a
hipsters.
pretty big unit. But anyway, carry on.
you get that from the book. It is when
It's
they do talk
period-based.
about those things, it is a little bit outdated because I don't know. I actually don't know the year it was written, but the gathering from what
90s, I think.
I was going to say 90s because that's the kind of vibe having obviously us having grown up in the 90s. We have that sort of mental image of some of the stuff he was talking about,
yeah.
mainly towards Technological Boy, and that
You
sort
could
of
relate. It wasn't ridiculous.
Exactly, yeah. So as someone reading it these days, which is younger than us, might struggle to understand, or they might
Or
even
relate.
brush over some of the stuff because even when it comes to media, when she appears as I Love Lucy,
Yeah.
and then the cast of Cheers, within the novel, they're outdated references.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
I think you'd almost be
Yeah, they
pushed
are.
to find a 20-year-old that knows what fucking Cheers is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when they name characters in Cheers in the novel, it just
I
wouldn't
wouldn't even
register.
get those
No,
fucking
you-
references.
Oh, I would.
But then I never watched it.
I used to
No.
love Cheers. I don't know why. But
Like, I mean, Gillian Anderson played
she plays media, doesn't she? Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan of Gillian.
Hmm.
But I think in there they sort of did a few changes where she's now Marilyn Monroe, you know, doing the classic scene,
Right.
you know, rather than
Someone that's timeless that everybody
Yeah, exactly.
understands, other than rather than I Love Lucy, where it's a smaller group of people
Very
who would
specific
know who it
reference.
was. Yeah.
And look, I mean, all in all, I think it was good. I think it was well done. My gripes are more with the fact of the portrayal of characters, the embellishment of storylines. One of the things I did like in the books, you know, Mad Sweeney.
Yes.
He's the it's not really ruining anything, but he's the tall leprechaun.
He's the leprechaun.
Like he's 6 foot something,
Fuck.
you know, and he's a leprechaun. You know, it's sort of the I suppose it's the internal gag of how they're perceived and
Yeah.
and all that sort of thing. But that one of the things is in the book, he's in the original opening scene where he meets him at the bar,
Yes.
and then you don't meet him until the end of the book, pretty much, or towards the end.
Yeah, it's not that far through.
When he's staying at the funeral home.
Okay.
Your Paul was a lot better than ours, Dan.
And yeah, so but in this they actually follow his story and they actually
really?
fill in a lot more of his story, which I actually thought was really good. I don't know who the actor is who played him, but he's just perfect.
He looks great. Yeah.
Everything you would sort of see
Yeah.
in that sort of book.
The fiery redhead, and even when he, I've only seen it in the trailers because I haven't watched it yet, obviously. But when he squares up to Shadow for the bar fight, just in the singlet and the way he sort of swaggers into the fight,
that was that whole scene in a nutshell.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it looks great. So,
but yeah, no, look, all in all, I think it's worthwhile watching. If anyone hasn't read the books, I think you'll enjoy it. Okay? Anyone who has read the books, if it's been a few years, you'd probably still enjoy it. Anyone that's recent, much like yourself, Dan, you'd probably be going, ooh, hang on, what's sort of going on there?
Okay.
You know? I suppose my biggest gripe was they made Shadow Moon not Indian heritage.
American
Woo-woo
Indian.
not Red Dot Indian.
What did you say?
Don't worry. He doesn't need to repeat it.
You're saying feathers, not dots.
Yeah,
Feathers, not dots.
dots.
Did you have a less polite way of saying that, did you?
I thought that was nice.
We're going to have to move on to the next topic soon.
But he's portrayed more as African American.
Yes, because he's an African American actor, isn't he? Or is he Native American, African American?
I actually don't know what his heritage is. But either way, I mean, he's got the complexion that he could pull off either way.
He looks. I think
he's caramel.
And I saw the actor before I started to read the book, so I kind of went into the book with that image in my head of that. This is who this character looks like. I think he looks really good as the character.
Spot on for character.
Yeah.
But my biggest gripe was he had that hinted at the Indian heritage.
Native American,
sorry. Where...
Why can't you say Injuns anymore?
Injuns.
Damn Injuns.
And you know how often the Buffalo Head Man came up? You know that picture that I showed you?
Yeah.
Firstly, they only show you the... he's not the Buffalo Head Man. He's a buffalo.
A buffalo with flaming eyes.
And
you
that's
see
the
that
only
in
time
the
you
trailer.
see him in the whole season.
Oh, really?
It's that whole... him... doing that dream timing you get through the whole thing that made him that important character because he was interacting with them at such a powerful level. Yeah,
so the picture James is talking about is they're making American Gods into a Dark Horse graphic novel. Yeah. Which that artwork looks great, so I hope the rest of it is.
I flicked through it. They're up to the train rescue where he gets rescued by Laura from the train.
Yeah, nice.
And I think every week they've just been releasing another one. So
okay, cool.
I'll shoot you through the link to that.
Cool.
You guys can organise your social media later.
We have the next beer in front of us. This is Last Rites Brewing, brewing company from Tasmania. Dead Man's Revenge Black IPA. Now, I have to admit, I did buy this beer. No, I'm showing a camera, not you. I did buy this beer partly on. I just really liked the artwork on the can. I think it's a beautifully designed can. It's a fantastic use of space, really cool artwork, beautiful use of color, and even a beautiful use of text on it. It's just it's a beautiful, beautiful looking beer can. It's a 6.5% black IPA.
This beer confuses me, Dan.
This beer confuses you. It's a browny reddish color. It's got a off-white browny head to it. It's
not talking to the mic.
It's a nice color. Well, I wasn't going to say anything else. I was actually going to take a sip.
So I find it confusing because it smells like an IPA. You get that very hoppy smell, and so you kind of expect the flavor to match. I don't get a whole lot of resin out of the flavor. What I get is lots of dark chocolatey malt.
Yeah,
I was going to say spot on.
That's exactly it. It's not over the top dark malt like it would be in a stout or a porter or something like that. Even to the extent it's not the malt character of a brown ale.
Yeah.
It's got that hop character there. And that malt body is just used to fill out the rest of the flavor. Like red IPAs are meant to be malty but hoppy at the same time. I think this is a really good example. I mean, it's got those darker roast characters there. It's still got some hop character to it. It's not over the top in bitterness. It's got a nice bitterness to it, but
it
not
does have
over
a
the
bite
top.
at the end of the palate.
Yeah, I think it's a really good example. It's a nice beer, and they had 2 others of this last Rites there, and I think I'll probably go back and grab the other 2 because I like that. And once again, their artwork's fucking sick.
Yeah, it is. I've got I'll throw 2 photos up on the website for that one with the text and one with some of the picture on it. What do you think, James?
Oh, look, spot on. I could happily drink that.
Yeah,
6.5% too. I mean, it's not.
You wouldn't pick it.
No, it's up there. I mean, nothing we have. That's the lightest we have tonight because the next one is 9% and the last one is 10. So
what was the first one?
the first one 7.7.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All that lemon just hid that beer.
It did, didn't it?
Really
I
effectively.
didn't even think about that when I was drinking it. There is a little bit left in there if anybody wants it too.
I actually think that as a sour would be perfect in summer because it's got that citrus to cut through the heat.
Yeah,
Yep.
and you know what? You'd use that as a base for something and drop a fucking shot of gin in it, or use that as a base of a beer cocktail and put.
I need to stay away from gin for a while.
Yeah, you said you had a couple of big ones on it over there. But to use that as a base to build something more on top of it, I think that's a perfect summer drink. Yeah.
Whereas to me, this black IPA is something that you'd sit down and you'd smoke a cigar or a cigarette, and
I say it a lot, but that's a poker beer.
Yeah, exactly, perfect.
Yeah. Let it warm up a little bit and go from there. It's
couple of cigars.
Yeah, it's got a really low body on it too. It doesn't have a thick, sugary, resinous body on it for an IPA. I'd say that's a very low gravity black IPA.
Yep,
and I think it's
You're gonna have to explain that gravity.
Gravity is residual sugar. So the sugar that's left in after, so non-fermentable sugars, so the sugar that the yeast can't eat and turn into alcohol, that's what's left in the end of the beer. And that's the final gravity is the last reading we take once fermentation's finished. And we know from there how much residual sugar is left in the beer.
Yeah,
More residual sugar, the sweeter it is, but also the thicker and stickier the body is.
Yeah, okay.
That's nice and light.
It's got that sort of bit of a wateryness.
Yeah.
Like it just flows over the tongue.
Exactly,
sort of
yeah.
So do we have anything with a high residual sugar? Is that
the Imperial Stout might.
at the end?
It might, yeah. The
we've
triple,
had some sweet ones and we've had some really bitter ones too. So.
Yeah, the triple might as well.
Yeah, okay.
The triples can go either way. They can go extremely dry or they can go quite heavy.
Yeah, okay.
So
You'll
it'd
have
be
to explain what a triple is when we get to it.
Yeah, sure. It's just about alcohol percentage.
Okay.
Doubles and triples and things like that. Yeah.
Defenders. Is anyone watching it?
Nope.
I'm torn.
You're torn
So
between watching it and not watching
What?
it?
Yeah.
What out of the Netflix series have you watched? Have you watched Daredevil
Daredevil.
1 and 2? Jessica
Big
Jones.
fan of that. Jessica Jones, no.
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage, halfway.
Iron Fist.
Yes, all of it.
Okay.
You got
And Iron
Fist
Fist was the one that ruined it for me.
Yeah, and we've talked about that on the podcast.
It seems like everybody dislikes it.
It had potential. Like even the intros and the clips, you're like, psyched up for this. And I was let down.
So I'm 5 eps into Defenders, so we're just past the
almost
halfway
done,
point. Yeah, because there's only 8 episodes in the season. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted them to rewrite his character and stop him from being such a pussy bitch.
Yeah, and that's what ruined it.
Which is what ruined, Iron Fist for me. And at the same time, I kind of didn't want them to be inconsistent with the character either. And they've maintained consistency. But now he's in a backdrop of strong characters who aren't pussy bitches, so...
He's stepping his game up.
Yeah, although I found it interesting, the pacing's really, really odd. So 4 episodes in and they've only really just kind of come together. There was a lot of build-up, a lot of parallel stories going on.
They shouldn't need. They've done 2 seasons of Daredevils and they've done a season of everybody else. Everybody knows if you're watching Defenders, you know who these people are.
Yeah.
Just fucking put them together.
Yeah. But I'm enjoying it so far. I mean, you haven't really got much in, we haven't gone far into it. They have explained the structure of the hand more, and I'm actually finding that really interesting.
I listened to the Weekly Planet's breakdown of Defenders, so I know exactly what's happened in the whole lot.
Okay,
So.
right. I think it's worth watching. I mean, and Sigourney Weaver is fucking brilliant as a bad guy.
She's good, though. She is good.
Yeah.
She's a really, really consummate actress, that one.
In the Cabin in the Woods, she's the director of the institute that's releasing the monsters. And you don't see her until all the way to the end, but you get you hear these angry phone calls from her. The woman can portray anger and scariness just in her voice.
Well, so can everyone's mother.
It's kind of
Yeah, well, fair call. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe she's just that staunch mother, the mother character telling them to sort their fucking
I'm not
shit
angry.
out.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh no, not disappointed.
Yeah, so
Cool.
Defenders.
Yeah, no, well, look, I won't talk too much about it because you guys haven't seen it, but I'm enjoying it. I was interested to see what they do with it
Netflix?
stylistically.
It's
Yeah,
on
Netflix.
Yeah, it's all Netflix original, yeah.
Because each of the 4 series or shows before this had their own color cast and their own style to the cinematography.
Don't be fucking racist.
Oh. Well, I got
Not
nothing.
for
I got
that one,
nothing. They've gone for a completely neutral tone, but I did notice in the lead up, so the first couple of eps, as it jumps from say Iron Fist to Luke Cage to Jessica Jones, they've reapplied the color cast to the film. So Jessica Jones was always a bluey purple, kind of they've fucked with the tone of the film slightly.
Filter lenses
okay.
and all that sort of shit.
Luke Cage was also
It's like
always
yellows and earthy tones and things like that.
So it was kind of Harlem 1920s style movie.
Grindhouse kind of.
Yeah. Daredevil was very dark and kind of desaturated
Muted,
almost.
yeah.
And Iron Fist, who gives a fuck? So I noticed that in Defenders, they started by applying those color casts as they cut to those characters. Now they've joined up. They've gone for a very neutral palette, which I thought was interesting. That's probably all I'll say on Defenders until you guys have seen a few more eps.
Have you got something, James? If you don't, I'm going to jump in with another TV series. Go.
No, the only thing I'm gonna, I've been withdrawing. I've been trying to cut down on my binging. You know, I'm trying to do the good thing here. But it was actually funny. Something that spurred me on watching some Stanley Kubrick's.
Oh yeah.
At the beer launch, there was a wonderful hipster.
This is Bounty Hunter Brewing's
Bounty Hunter, the burnt marshmallow.
Yes,
was it?
the What Did You Do, Ray?
What Did You Do, Ray?
Burnt marshmallow.
What did you do,
At
Ray?
the-
You infringed copyright, is what you did, Ray.
It's, at the 1989.
1989 in Newtown. Yes,
And,
awesome little butt.
There was a obviously just up there with Rob and another mate, Matt. But we're up there, and there was a chick in a bowler hat, which started off a whole conversation
Oh,
about the Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
You know,
Which then started off on Full Metal Jacket, which then got me, I've got to get these movies and I've got to start rewatching them.
Yeah.
So I've been starting to sort of pick up and go to the more hitting the old schools rather than what's sort of been coming out. And
I've still never seen Clockwork Orange. I've never seen it. Full Metal
I've
Jacket.
watched the first half.
it's
Yeah, okay. Full Metal Jacket, I love.
yeah.
I think Full Metal Jacket's a great movie.
What's your immediate deficiency, numbnuts?
Yeah, and I was put on to Full Metal Jacket many, many years ago because one of my bosses when I worked for Dan Murphy's, one of the store managers, was an ex-US Marine. And I was talking to him about the Marine Corps and that, and he's gone, if you want to know what being in the Marines is like, go watch Full Metal Jacket
Yeah.
because that is the most accurate interpretation that's ever been put to film of the United States Marine
Yeah.
Corps.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And back done in the 1980s.
80s, yeah.
Yeah.
It must have been the 80s, yeah.
1989 or 8 or something, I think it came out. Or
Not
Yeah,
sure.
'cause,
I've seen most of Kubrick's work other than Clockwork Orange. I
Yeah.
didn't get through it. I don't know. Not because I didn't want to watch it, but because I kept getting interrupted. Every time I've put it on to watch it, I get interrupted by something.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen 2001 Space Odyssey.
yeah.
Yawn.
Yeah.
With the 25-minute intro sequence with the ship flying past. Yeah, we get it. It's a big fucking ship. All right, move
Well,
on.
And then later he's got the hyperspace sequence as well, so
Yeah.
which is really long. Technicolored hyperspace, or kaleidoscope hyperspace.
Yep.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
It was.
You got to
I
see a
skipped
boob,
over
so
that,
I was.
I think I'd have to go back and watch that again with a little bit more understanding of.
Or a few more beers under your belt.
Yeah, I watched it very early on, sort of when it came out, and I have much more appreciation and
Yeah.
knowledge now of filmmaking. So I think I'd have to go back and watch it now with a sort of an overall.
That was his last film before he died, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
So an overall knowledge of filmmaking and cinematography and things like that. It'd be interesting to go back and see it on that sort of scale now.
So you got to see Nicole Kidman's boobs before he died. I think that's
Yeah.
that's pretty good. That's a good way to go. It's the
Yeah.
only ginger I rate, Dan.
As long as Tom Cruise had some pants on in that scene, I think he'd be all right.
Well, that ended their relationship, didn't it?
It did,
was
yeah,
just
yeah,
after that,
was-
they just went.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's
yeah.
what it was too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the end of it. So yeah. So how far have you gotten through? Well,
I've got the Clockwork Orange. I've got to watch that. That's kind of probably my this weekend sort of movie.
Yep.
And I ended up watching the Full Metal Jacket.
I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, it was great. Last weekend / Monday through work. But yeah, no, it was.
What
just
happens
good
when we
watching
tag you this on Facebook and your boss ends up listening to it?
socially retarded. That's fine.
Full Metal Jacket and Apocalypse Redux. Apocalypse Redux are the epitome of Vietnam era war films for me.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they weren't filmed back then, but they portray Vietnam. Love those two movies.
And look, I would love to see somebody come out with a Full Metal Jacket because half of the sayings through that,
Yeah.
like
there's
There is.
the ratings on that now. Like I think what was I bet you're the kind of guy that'd fuck somebody in the ass and not give him the courtesy of a reach around or something like that. You know, you just sort of sitting there, you sort of watching, and you're like, yeah, and then you sort of pause and you're kind of like, you're letting that soak in. You're like, ooh.
But there's so much taken from that film into modern movies that people wouldn't reference back to that movie, even down to things the hooker in Vietnam at the end, the sucky sucky love you long time. That was a fucking ongoing gag in South Park for how long?
Horny.
Exactly.
Me love you long time.
And what the
People
funny
just
thing
wouldn't
is,
get it.
Yeah.
I got guys in my office. I mean, they're young, like this, 20 to 25, and they're pulling out these sayings because, like, I was sort of telling them about it, and I was throwing out a few of the cliched sayings, and they're like, "Oh yeah, exact same thing," and they're repeating them, and they had no idea where it even came from.
No, no idea. It's very interesting.
It's kind of sad. Anyone playing any good video games?
Oh, this was one thing that I did want to bring up. James, when are you going to stop being a fucking pussy-ass bitch and come over to the fucking light side and get a goddamn fucking PlayStation and get rid of that sex box?
Look at this. My point on here, apology to Microsoft for EA episode. It's sorry, Bill. I did my best, but I couldn't get back from my trip in time, and there was a lot of shit canning.
Bill doesn't give a fuck
yeah,
anyway.
That's right. Yeah. I listened to the Filthy Casuals podcast too, and they've just done a rundown of Gamescom, which has just finished, and saying that there's basically nothing releasing exclusively on the Xbox this year.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
And
Wow.
PlayStation has
Very
an
rarely
enormous
is.
amount. Yeah, well, PlayStation has an enormous amount of absolutely amazing exclusive games. And you, of all people, I mean, I think Uncharted would be right up your alley and you would love playing that. So just pull your fucking finger out, would you?
I've started playing. Well, first of all, I played Dawn of War 3, which was.
And you're not going to give him a grilling on this. You're just going to go straight on to the next one. You're just going to let it glide
I
straight
can't-
past, and
I
you're just going
can't
to
see
fucking
what I
The
want.
brown
ignore it.
paper bag.
I can't say what I want to say without insulting a bunch of listeners, so I'm just going to say you're a shit and move on.
Mark it.
Yeah, so I was playing Dawn of War 3 for about 10 minutes. I've been anticipating that game, so anyone who we used to play, Chris and I used to play Warhammer 40k tabletop miniatures, and thoroughly enjoyed that when we were kids growing up, and kind of always had a bit of an affinity for Dawn of War, which is a real-time strategy game based in the Warhammer 40k universe.
I'm seeing your face.
I just tried to be here.
Right. And the game was boring as fuck. It really, really.
So that's a new release, is it?
Yeah, well, it's pretty old now. It's probably 6 months old now. It's for PC.
Well, it's still
Relatively new. And I've been waiting for it for a long time because Dawn of War 2 was epic. They had like 8 expansions that added new armies and shit and all the stuff that you enjoyed painting and
it's
building.
an RTS.
Yeah, real-time strategy, yeah. Kind of resource management and stuff. I liked that in the older games, you could just play the fucking army you wanted to play, and it was built around Space Marines, and you played a whole
I know where you're going
Blood
with this.
Raven campaign. But this one, you've got Space Marines, you've got Eldar, and you've got Orcs, and each mission they rotate in threes. So you play one Space Marines mission, you go, oh, it's fucking awesome, and then you go play the Orcs, and it's like, this is shit.
It's doing the equivalent of Call of Duty, where it single player, where it switches between the SAS officer and the United States Marine guy. And
Except if the United States Marine guy was a fucking muppet and you hated playing him, then yeah, it would be very similar. I couldn't get past it. I think I went 9 missions or 7 missions in, and I just went, nah, This is it for me.
So there's
Fuck
nothing. There's nothing redeemable. So who would you play normally?
Space Marines.
You Space Marines, and there's nothing redeemable about the other two that you could.
It's just not my. I don't like zerging, which is the orcs. The orcs are all about huge numbers of throwaway creatures.
Oh, so they have different play styles as well that you can't
completely
that you
different
can't get
playstyles.
around.
Yeah, and the Eldar are very go the opposite end of the spectrum. So Eldar are all about small numbers of extremely elite units, and they take ages to build and all the rest of it. I just enjoyed playing RTSs where you could just base build in a single player campaign,
Age
build
of
an
Empires.
unbeatable. Sorry?
Like Age of Empires.
Yeah, that's right. You build an unbeatable fortress, and then you start manufacturing tanks, and you go and annihilate the enemy. And you end up playing for like 8 hours on a map that you probably could have won in an hour.
Yeah,
but
because you spent it all building up.
But your bastion is now half the fucking map. Yeah. Anyway, so we talk about this beer.
We have in front of us now. It says the wording on this is very strange. The brewery is 3 Ravens, but it says little above 3 Ravens. So I don't know whether it's little 3 Ravens or 3 Ravens little triple.
Or 3 little ravens.
Or 3 little Ravens.
Wow.
3. It's definitely 3 Ravens Brewing. So it must be a little triple. They're from Thornbury in Victoria. It's a Belgian triple. It's 9%. It has that very Belgian saison character to it.
I was going to say it's like a saison with a punch in the mouth of alcohol.
See, I think that alcohol's really well hidden in there as well. 9% is massive.
Yeah, but it is what separates it from a traditional saison. I can taste the alcohol.
Yeah, okay, yeah, gotcha. It's a beautiful sort of goldeny, hazy goldeny color. Nice sort of rocky white foam on it. Really, really nice. Really, really nice triple. Really nice. Even just if you wanted a saison and you can't find a good saison, that'll fill that void for you.
Which reminds me, that's one thing I really couldn't find in America at all. In Vegas, no one had a saison. Had one place have sours, and everyone else had IPAs. They had porters. They had Imperial. I had ambers and reds, which I found interesting because usually you think if they don't have a sour or a saison, they're not going to have a big variety. Everything's going to be IPA or dark.
Yeah, so this is just from my very limited experience in the US. IPA is obviously their massive go-to. I would imagine that they have a big movement in sours. Excuse me. They have a big movement in sours, but it might be a little bit more localized to the breweries where they're doing it.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And the more populated touristy areas, even if it's a international touristy area or a domestic touristy area, it might be more focused on those ambers and darks and things like that. So they like those bigger, bolder, richer characters.
Yep.
But they do have a huge sour movement over there. So
yeah, I didn't see too many sours. I bought them anywhere I could find them because I love my sours.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of this beer though.
Okay.
Not really my
I like
taste.
it. I think it's really good.
I enjoy saison.
It's nice. It's beautiful and smooth. Like
it is, but I'm just not enjoying the flavors. It's a little bit too punchy for me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
No, I mean
you can taste the quality.
I could be at the opposite end of the spectrum, but I could picture myself sitting on the front porch drinking that after mowing the lawns.
Definitely, and you wouldn't be mowing the lawns much longer after that either.
No, 9%.
Oh, you'd end up
be
like
mowing
my
fucking shapes into it.
End up like my brother-in-law tried to. He was mowing the lawn up at his property up at Byron, and he's got a ride-on mower, and I just saw him today, which is what jogged my memory. And he's gone to pull a stick out that got stuck in the bottom of the mower.
Yeah, you know what happens next.
Yeah.
5 hours worth of microsurgery and pins in his fingers.
And he still can't jerk off with that hand.
Well, he's married, so he just gets the wife to do that. Sorry, Jamie. I know you listen. I'm really sorry. I couldn't help it. He showed. Well, I've seen the scars previously, but my pussy little almost chopping the top of my finger off doesn't compare to his 5 hours worth of microsurgery, and your little slice down your finger.
Yeah, I've got a mad scar though. I'm really impressed by that.
Oh fuck, you do too. That'll heal and go away.
Oh, I want a scar.
How manly,
you big bitch.
So I don't have the M on my face. Like anyway.
Yes.
No Bishop triggers.
Yeah.
Any other video games? I have one more video game, and then I'll shut the fuck up.
What have I been playing? I downloaded Just Cause 3 because it was free on PlayStation Network. Batman. I've been playing
Again.
and something else. Forget what the other fucking thing I've been
He
playing.
just plays
always
Batman.
Batman.
Anyway, yes.
Overwatch. I bought Overwatch
Oh, okay.
the day after I got back. I'm a big fan of Blizzard games. Anyone who's listened to more than one episode knows I talk about World of Warcraft.
Very different to the other Blizzard games you've played.
It
This
is.
This
You're
is
right.
what this. I expect this from him.
Okay. Expect what from him?
Pointing fingers.
The
kinda rude.
the Overwatch, because it's more focused on sex box than PlayStation.
Xbox.
I could see that. It is a very different game. I mean, I play Hearthstone regularly, like daily on my phone, which is a collectible digital card game. That's
Set in the
quite
World of
competitive.
Warcraft world.
Yeah. Which is probably why I like it. It's a lot of nostalgia and it brings back memories of all the fucking raiding we did playing World of Warcraft. But Overwatch is a first-person shooter, but it's the first game I think I've ever played that is built entirely around the concept of esports. And you can tell it's all esports. So, I think there's 16 to 24 characters. They've all got their own personality. They've got their own abilities. Quite simple in terms of their abilities. It's all, there's between 4 and 5 abilities per character. They're broken up into kind of offensive and defensive and healers and I think utility. Typical fucking MMO, to be honest. It's kind of oriented around that concept, and you just jump into an arena. So you're on a team of 6, you're playing another team of 6, and you what?
Oh, remind me when you finish this. We have a multiplayer game that we need to play. I've been dying to play it, and I played it. So keep going.
Cool. So I'm finding it fun. As far as I'm going from Battlefield 1, which is another first-person shooter, but it's extremely different to Overwatch, and I'm finding that it's fun as kind of a drop in, drop out. I've got 15 minutes to kill. Fuck it, I'll play a couple of rounds because I've got nothing better to do. But I don't think it has longevity for me. It's a little bit repetitive.
Yeah, it's an esports.
It's very arcadey.
Yeah.
And in fact, at the moment, they're running a Summer Games event, and it's very much like the Commonwealth Summer Games. So, even the loot crates that you get when you level up or you can spend real life money on if you're a dickhead like me. Not that I've bought any for this game, but anyway. They've got medals.
That's the guilt seeping through there.
Emphasis on this game.
Yeah, this game.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've spent shitloads of money on other games, but not this one. But it's there are medals and there are themes that you unlock and voice lines you unlock and spray paints that you unlock.
Yeah,
that are all built around kind of ripping off the Olympics. So anyway,
it's actually kind of funny you mentioned Overwatch, because I was just reading I don't know, one of the many junk mail that happens to filter through, and they were talking about how Overwatch hit the they released a map junkyard or something like that, and
I think I've played it.
It sort of hit the news because it was about complaining about, or their slogan was something about the land that they took from us, and it was a map that they released for Australia, and then a whole bunch of people kicked up a stink because of the indigenous side of things. But the thing is if you like a paragraph down, it's sort of like, they took the land from us, or we'll stop them taking the land from us or something to give to the machines. So they sort of like, let's take that half of a sentence and
take it out of context.
That the focal point.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is they kind of continue on where they were like, oh, well, is Blizzard going to apologize? What's Blizzard going to do? And it's like, okay, look, Blizzard went in and apologized, but it was for the simple fact that they put a sign in there that said take out, not take away, because they apologized. They used American terminology in an Australian-based map rather than the Aussie takeaway sort of thing.
I mean, they were making a political point in a video game. It's not unheard of.
Overwatch has already had some controversy before as well.
Yeah, about the over-sexualization of their female characters.
It was one female character, and it was her pose.
It was her pose stance, yeah.
I never saw it, but I read about the sexuality of it.
I saw it. I saw the pose that they originally had and the one they changed it to. You know what? They didn't.
It's exactly the same.
It's not exactly the same, but they didn't do that much.
A change for the sake of a change to say we did something.
Yeah.
When you can watch a Coke ad on television that looks like the woman's trying to give a blowjob to the can, I don't see the big deal of... I mean, I get that we should be sensitive to those kinds of issues in modern society, but I think the pendulum can swing too far into political correct land.
It didn't... The original pose... It was unnatural.
Right.
and wouldn't have been something that fit in well with what everybody else was doing.
Okay.
The one
Alright.
they,
So
the
it
one
stood out. Like
it stood out. It did stand out.
Tits
yeah.
on a bull.
Yeah. It needed to be changed.
Right.
It was the people that complained about it were technically right for complaining about it.
and I'm
Blizzard
sure
did-
they never owned a Mattel fucking Barbie doll with you know ridiculously oversized tits and a ridiculously small waist. 'cause-
There's precedents that have been set, but I mean they did the right thing. They changed it. It's not an overly different change.
I
but
think Blizzard's response was appropriate.
Yeah, it was. It was an appropriate response to an appropriate complaint.
Sure.
Definitely. So yeah. Oh, okay. So the other one I wanted to mention, Dreadnought. Dreadnought is a 5-on-5 multiplayer battle arena, and you command massive starships. So
I'm in.
Dreadnought starships, 5-on-5.
Okay.
This is not my ball game. This 5-on-5 PvP sort of thing. This is why I wanted to mention it. They just did a weekend of open beta. I've really liked the look of it to start with, so I went and grabbed the open beta. I played 4 or 5 rounds.
Yep.
Sucked fucking terribly at it, but it had me enough to keep going back in on it.
Okay.
And then even had me where I played it in. So I downloaded it Friday night. I played it Friday or Saturday night. I played a few rounds Saturday or Sunday morning, and then after lunch, I'm like, you know what? I really want to jump back in that and play again.
Okay.
There was no voice chat, so we couldn't strategize with each other for the time being. But you've got the 5 ships went. See if I can work this out. You went your assault, like your battleship.
Yep.
Then you had basically a sniper ship, which was a long, thin, lightly armored, hard hitting, and long range.
Yep.
You had your support vessel, which was had a small, nimble, hard-hitting laser, or could be used as a repair laser on your own ships. You had the massive dreadnought, and
slow-moving, easy target, but packs a punch.
but absolutely packs a wallop. Maybe there was only 4. I think there was 5, but maybe there was only 4. But they're the ones I can remember. And
sounds like you need a damage soaker tank class.
maybe
somewhere
there
in there as
was.
well.
Maybe there was. That might have. Yeah. The first one was definitely the DPS with good armor.
Yep.
The sniper was
another
damage.
DPS,
Damage from a distance.
You got a healer.
And the healer, and then the tank class.
Yep.
And I'm sure there was a 5th one in there. But it was really good fun.
Cool.
The maps.
Is the beta closed?
I would say it only ran over the weekend. We can jump on and have a look afterwards. But
Yeah, cool.
I really loved it. Like for being beta, it beautifully polished. I mean, we saw this E3 last year, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't this year.
You might not have, but I watched some stuff from E3 last year on it. It was beautifully polished already. It was a finished game. So they were just releasing it to get people to play it and see the online working and everything like that. The ships have great visuals to them. So the hard hitting one, all the top rotating guns, all individually
cool.
rotate.
Yeah, okay.
They don't all just turn together.
Yep.
They all have a little bit of lag and a little bit of difference
cool.
to them. The flare shots, the lasers, the defensive anti-missile laser, on the top of the dreadnought when you fire the rockets like out of the top of the submarines, the canopies fold open for each individual
that's
missile,
cool.
and then each individual missile comes out individually and like on a separate timer, and that you can watch
So
them.
a lot of attention to detail.
Beautiful detail on it. The maps are all land-based at the moment. So
Okay.
you're driving these massive ships through canyons and demolished buildings and cities and everything like that. So there's a lot of verticality about it. With the sniper, I was coming in with the sniper. It's got a cloak device.
Yep.
So I was getting the sniper. It's fairly quick. So I was kind of going straight as high as I could get on the map, and then waiting for the ships to come out, and was picking them off from a distance. And then
cool.
they would get a beat on you, and then you'd hit the cloak, and then move to another
fuck off.
section.
Yeah.
And there is I never worked out what it was, but there's a warp option where you can it takes a little bit to build, but you can warp from one point to another point within the map.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
The maps aren't huge, so it's quite tight.
What's the viewpoint? Is it isometric? Is it top
it's
down?
third person?
Yeah, okay.
I would say over the shoulder.
It's 3-dimensional.
Yeah, it's 3-dimensional.
Okay.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game to look at, and it's well worth having a look at. And I'm going to buy it. I mean,
You have to check it out.
Even if I jump on every now and then, I'm going to piss people off no end, being a noob and sucking. And my
Might
best...
get you used to 5v5 because we've got the pirate game coming up soon.
Yeah. Well, my best job in there was being the healer. I really sucked and we got really badly kicked when I was anything else other than the healer. But then when I was a healer, I was keeping these guys alive and I jumped to the next one and keep going with like that. And I mean, we that game that I played the healer, I played it 2 or 3 times, but we only lost by a couple of points.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm obviously much, much better as a support character than I am anything else. So
I need to get you to get a PS4 so we can play Divinity Original Sin 2 when it comes out.
That was my next one.
You heard that. He was going to buy me a PS4.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard.
You can play me, James.
If it'll get me a PS4, I will.
You'll take a shot in the
All
mouth.
right, I might have to turn the video camera off in a sec.
Okay, cool.
James?
Next, James.
I actually wanted to ask you guys something. I was
Already told you I accept blowjobs.
It's later. I was perusing the what to watch next and all that. I came across Marvel Spider-Man as a TV series.
Huh?
Old school or recent?
It was saying it was season 1.
It must be an animated series.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not a live action.
Oh, okay.
No.
I just happened to pass and I went, oh, okay.
No, I know they were making another animated series. The last couple weren't very good. One back
Marvel Knights Spider-Man?
It just said Marvel Spider-Man. I'm not going to exactly repeat the site that I was on for certain reasons.
Fair enough.
But
Right.
VPN's doing you well.
yes. But I was sort of popped up and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I knew I was coming here later and I'm like, I don't know. I just jumped to, it must have been a new sort of more live action or something. But, I could be completely wrong.
Definitely animated.
I've typed Marvel Spider into IMDb and all I get is a fan-made, no-budget, 1-hour film produced by Made Legit Media. So I
don't
know.
know what it was.
I'll have to look it up later and yeah.
Have you seen Homecoming? Spider-Man Homecoming?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I.
What did you watch anything on the plane that was?
There was nothing
interest?
good on the plane.
Yeah.
It was all shit. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2 again,
Oh, we watched that last night too.
which I've
watched that.
subsequently bought on 4K and still haven't unwrapped. I've also got Aliens, the latest Aliens.
Covenant. Yeah, I watched that too.
I still haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So
Well, we watched a
I
couple of
haven't
movies
either.
while you were away. We watched a couple of movies because I was so sick. So
yeah,
when Louise got home, we'd throw a movie on. So
we keep buying stuff and then we go home and watch fucking Defenders on Netflix. So I've got a stack of shit to watch.
Guardians 2 was okay.
That's right. You hadn't seen it.
It was okay.
Yeah, like I said, it was. If you had never seen Guardians 1, it would have been a groundbreakingly good movie.
Yeah. But it was quite cheesy. The whole we're not friends, we're family. Like it just that came off.
They did push it a little too far.
I kind of felt like they were trying to take the piss out of themselves and didn't. Well,
I don't think they did it well. There was a couple of really bad points in the movie where they made that, but they're obviously trying to build it for the third one being their last one together.
Yeah.
So they're trying to push that relationship between them quite strongly.
quickly too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I thought the alien with the stalk eyes was kind of sexy.
Have you
Mantis.
seen it without the makeup?
No, that makes it less fucked up. So I'm not interested.
What does that
I
say about
want
Kes?
James T. Kirk style alien sex, yo.
I think the makeup.
Tentacle hentai.
I think the makeup on Zoe Saldana. Is that a name? I
Yep.
think, and the guy who plays Yondu, I think that was quite flawless. And even Drax. I mean, we watched it on
Drax is cool.
We watched it on HD. I think all that full body color makeup is just comes so far, and it's just really, really good these days. And you don't feel like it's just a person in makeup. You actually feel like it's a person. Like it's just
that is who they
them
are.
exactly. Yeah. Even up against Peter Quill and Rocket was great in the first one too, but I mean you don't
Ratchet and Clank.
you don't feel like he's not there, or they're talking to a little green puppet or something.
Yeah.
It's done beautifully. Ratchet's a great character. Ratchet, fuck.
It worked.
Rocket is a great character. Baby Groot was obviously awesome. But yeah, I thought it was good, really good. But I think the first one was better.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I totally agree.
I think I was listening. You guys raised this like 2 podcasts ago, I think.
Yeah,
it was.
yeah,
So,
2 or 3 episodes.
two ago.
And
Yeah,
I think you hit it on the head, because I think I literally just watched it the weekend before when I listened to the podcast, and you basically said if it was the first one, it'd be a great first movie.
Yeah.
As a sequel, it's like
More of the same.
it's good, but yeah.
And Yondu didn't need to die.
no,
it was
you
just a
didn't.
plot device.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
It
in
was
the thing,
it was
and,
a cheap plot device.
So we have in front of us Edge Brewing Company from Victoria, their Imperial Stout. This is a massive stout. This has 10%,
Yeah.
and they boast a 90 IBUs,
Jesus.
which is bitterness units on the bottle itself.
Are they international though?
They are international IBUs. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful dark stout with a nice sort of light chocolatey head foam to it. Nice.
You can see the residual sugar in the head.
It's nice dense foam, and this is what I'm talking about with residual sugar. So it's a thicker, sweeter body. And
if you look at the top of the head, you should see lots of dark coagulating color at the very top. No,
Yeah, okay.
level the glass, and then have a look through the
And you're
side at the very
talking
top.
across yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you can see it quite clearly there.
I think that's a really nice stout as well.
Yeah.
So we've had
That's
another really good 4 beers.
Yeah. This one's very, very chocolatey.
It is very chocolatey, yeah.
And you do get the hit at the end. And you know, this doesn't quite mask the alcohol as well as some of the other big stouts we've had, but at the same time, it also comes off as very balanced.
Yeah, it doesn't work against it. You do
exactly.
you do get that booze there, but it doesn't work against it. Yeah,
This could be me, but I get a very Vegemite sandwich.
you do. You
It's inescapable with an Imperial Stout that big, though.
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. I mean,
Because you get the tart. Is it the bitterness? Is it the... I don't know what the word is, if it's tartness or bitterness, but you get something very similar out of that much alcohol as you would Vegemite.
Yeah.
but you also the Vegemite character. I wish this beer wasn't so hard to find and so damn expensive, but there is a beer that is like drinking Vegemite. It's a stout.
That doesn't sound appealing, Dan.
You know what? I've
kidding
tried
me?
it and it's
I'd
not
take
appealing.
one.
Yeah.
So
No,
you
no.
no,
To
it's
me,
not
that
appealing.
would be... What was that old drink? Binoca? Binoca?
No.
Bonox.
Bonox, that's it. My mum used to say that.
Yeah.
Tea,
Which
coffee,
one?
Bonox. It was a reference to some TV series that I was...
It was a fucking ad, and it must have been out. We're all the same age, and
Yeah, it was
all
way
of our
before our
fucking
time.
parents used to say it.
Yeah.
So,
Bonox was literally a Vegemite beverage.
yeah.
Oh,
It
yeah.
sounded
yeah.
feral.
So this beer, it comes in a ceramic blue bottle. It's one of the big breweries that makes it. One of the big American breweries that makes it. It's incredibly strong, and it tastes. It's really thick and tastes like Vegemite, and I fucking hate it. But you get a lot of Vegemite character from yeast autolysis. So when still living yeast, if it's left on dead yeast too long, reconsumes the dead yeast and
So we
gives
have
And
cannibal
becomes
yeast.
mega yeast.
and it gives that Vegemite character. So yeast autolysis, it's the eating of the yeast. That's
Which
not
is
what
probably what Vegemite gets its character from,
Oh,
because it is
it-
a yeast fucking
it
paste.
could well do. That's
That or axle grease. I mean,
that's-
one of the two.
that's not what this comes from, but that is getting some of that Vegemite character from those dark malts, that incredibly high alcohol, and just that yeast working in there as well. So it's still a very, very nice beer. That Vegemite character is obviously there.
Yeah.
And to our international listeners, which we do have, American and
Yeah, we
English
do.
listeners,
It's what you spread on your face to stop the drop bears from attacking.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
yeah. Okay. I won't say any more. Let's just leave it at that.
We're right on an hour 10, so if you want to wrap with one last topic.
I've got another TV series that we've started watching. You know how much I don't particularly watch TV series, so this one's absolutely suckered me in, and I will have to talk to Chris about it at some point. But Hannibal, based on
Okay.
Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs,
Yep.
those books and movies. You've got Mads Mikkelsen playing Hannibal. It is basically it's a Criminal Minds TV series. It's that type of TV series. It's R-rated.
Good.
And it's extremely good. It's
Is it Netflix or
it's on
Pirate Bay?
Stan. I
Right,
don't download.
that's what I said.
So it's on Stan.
Pirate who?
Horror.
It has as I've spoken about many times, one of the things I love, it has a very strong continuous story.
Yep.
Some of the episodes have their own individual stories within them. Then you'll get an episode that is just about the main story, and then you'll get another sort of mini episode, but they all link in. There's the mini stories within the larger stories all have this ongoing impact to the overall story.
Yeah, okay.
It's not
so like Doctor Who when it was good.
Yes, so
Cool.
they all have some sort of linkage to
Bad Wolf and
So whether it's a crime or a killer that's impacting the mental state of one of the agents, or how Hannibal's interacting with the agents or the killer or something like that, it has this overall link to the full story. It's fucking really, really good.
And is Hannibal represented well?
Hannibal's represented great.
Cool.
I really like Mads Mikkelsen. I think he's a great actor. I like a lot of the stuff he's in. He plays Hannibal fantastic. Like, he is this smooth talking psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And then they've represented his whole cannibalism beautifully as well. Like, it makes you want to eat the food he's eating.
It's poetic.
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 It's poetic. It is beautifully poetic. He is immaculately dressed. His whole presence within the TV series is just it's an absolute masterpiece. I think we're 8 episodes into season 1. I think it's one of the best crafted TV series I've ever watched. They have a very strong, this is what I want to talk to Chris about and get him to watch a couple of episodes. They have a very strong sense of sound, and they use sound continuously throughout an episode to induce a whole bunch of feelings and a feeling to a scene that you might not expect. So it can be a conversation like we're having here, and there's no music to go with it, but there's this underlying hum.
Yeah, okay.
There's
so it's just kind of a discord.
There's always noise in this season, in this series, and it's very rarely will you get any period of film that's not accompanied by music or noise of some sort. I can't describe it as anything else other than noise.
Like ambience.
It's
Ambiance.
ambience. It's ambient noise, but it's not like the world around us ambience. It's a deliberate human-made noise to go with. And there are some very disturbing sort of horror cues, the cellos and the scraping of the violins and the strings and all that sort of stuff. But then there's this underlying hum to everything. And noise and sound is very used in a very disturbing kind of way throughout the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you always feel a little bit on edge because of this ongoing
the discord in the audio.
This ongoing noise that's in there, and it's very heavily focused on serial killers.
Yep.
Obviously.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard.
It rubs the lotion on the skin. So Ed, you could see where that disturbing element of Buffalo Bill and that can then build from this earlier version
so it's set before the Silence of the Lambs.
It is. So Will Graham is the main character.
Yep.
Will Graham is the Edward Norton character from Red Dragon who ended up catching Hannibal.
Right.
So
I don't think I've seen Red. Is that the second or the third? I saw 2.
So it's the prequel. It's set before Silence of the Lambs. Hannibal's already been caught.
Right.
Rafe Fiennes is the...
I think I have seen it then.
So he's the main bad guy. Edward Norton is the FBI agent who is consulting with Hannibal.
Right.
But he's also the one that caught Hannibal and put him in the psycho ward.
Right. Okay.
And then Silence of the Lambs is afterwards, and then it goes to Hannibal, and then Hannibal Rising is set when he's a teenager.
Right. I think I've seen Hannibal and Red Dragon then. I haven't seen the latest, which is Hannibal Rising.
Yeah, but it's a prequel. It's a prequel to Red Dragon.
Right.
Yes.
So it's the prequel to the prequel.
But it's the
fucking.
But it's
seriously,
Star Wars
motherfuckers,
gag.
just make them in order. Why is it hard?
So it's I've seen them all. I've enjoyed even the bad ones.
Yeah, okay.
I think Hannibal is a very interesting character to
Yeah,
me,
he is.
and that's why we finally went in on the TV series.
Be
and
careful, Louise. Be very, very careful.
I've
But they say it's the quiet ones you need to watch, so you don't have to worry about any of us.
yeah. It is a very good TV show, and I had a little bit of read on Wikipedia, and it was very highly regarded through critics, but its ratings were down.
Yeah, okay.
So ultimately, they cancelled it, but I would recommend it. We're 8 episodes into season 1.
How many
I'm loving
seasons?
There's 3 seasons of 13 episodes.
And you said Netflix?
Stan.
Fuck
Yeah.
Stan.
And you know, Pete, that I have a very hard time starting a series, and
Yeah,
I have
and finishing it.
a very hard time continuing and finishing a series.
Yeah.
I want you guys to fuck
Sacrilege.
off so I can go and watch a couple more episodes of Hannibal.
Oh, well, in that case, we'll fuck
Well,
off.
Yeah, I mean,
James?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
Yeah,
joining
thanks.
us, mate.
Thanks,
It's been
James.
good.
Warm welcome.
It's been emotional.
Cold goodbye.
It goes quick, doesn't it?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one.